Good afternoon. Welcome to WLBT's Ask the Experts. I'm your host, Kelly Boyd. Today's expert is Realtor Lee Garland of ReMax Alliance. Welcome, Lee.
Well, thank you, Kelly. It's good to be here.
Thank you. The questions we have for this episode are mostly on buying and selling homes. You can respond, we'll respond to your questions and comments while we're live, but if we don't get to you, please go to WLBT.com and submit your questions for Lee there. All right, Lee, our first question. What is the first step someone should take when they're considering buying a home?
It's a great first question, and out of 23 years of selling real estate, I get that question a lot. And ironically, the answer is not what you expect. It's not go find a home. It is actually go to the mortgage company or bank and get pre-qualified to find out how much of a mortgage, how much home you can buy. Because most people would like to know what their payments are going to be on that home that they're buying.
Oh, right. You want to make sure you can afford it, so get pre-qualified first.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So why should someone buy a home versus renting?
Why should someone buy a home? Well, buying a home, when you buy a home, you're paying it off on a monthly basis. You're building equity into that property. You're actually creating wealth. Homes overall appreciate in value. So if the longer you stay and live in the home, the more appreciation that you'll have, and the more equity that you'll have. So you're actually forcing yourself to save money through owning that home. Another good reason for owning a home is it helps build the community. It's nice to be able to network and socialize with your neighbors, watch the kids, or if you have kids, watch the kids play in the yard, or just go out and relax on the back patio.
And I think you've mentioned before, isn't there like a statistic that says if you buy a home, the family's more likely to stay together?
Yes, that's absolutely true. There's been studies that have shown that owning a home makes the family more stable and increases your net worth. It supports the community with a tax base. There's tons of reasons on why you should own a home.
Okay. Our next question from the Ask the Experts page is, how much of a down payment do I need?
That is another good question, and that answer varies. If you're doing an FHA loan, then you're going to need a down payment of a minimum of 3.5%. If you're doing a conventional loan, you could need a down payment between 5 and 20%. There's some first-time home buyer programs out there as well. And your down payment is going to be affected by your credit score also.
Okay. So what are the costs involved in buying a property?
The cost involved in buying a property. As a buyer, when you buy a property, the seller's saying, hey, I want to sell this property. And as a buyer, your lender may have some cost involved, which could include the cost of an appraisal, a survey, title insurance, mortgage insurance. Could be. You also might have a home inspection involved, and so between your down payment, paying the taxes on the home, the insurance, and the inspections, costs generally range between $3,000 and $5,000.
Okay, and you mentioned home inspection. That's the next question. Should I get a home inspection?
Absolutely, and I'm going to share a story with this because I think I'm a pretty handy guy, and I opted not to get a home inspection on the home that I currently live in. Well, 2 weeks after moving in, the gas stove was showing an error code, F03, which means it was emitting carbon monoxide. And so I should have gotten a home inspection. I would have known that I was about to face a $1,000 expense. And also the pool pump went out, so I would have known about that. So the home inspections, absolutely, you should get one, even if you think you're a handy kind of person.
Okay, good to know. Next question. How long does it take to buy a home?
How long does it take? Well, if you're paying cash, you can typically accomplish that in as little as 7 days. However, if you're doing a mortgage, then the mortgage process is going to take on the short end 3 weeks up to 6, sometimes 8 weeks to get the mortgage processed. Now, you also got to take into account the time it's going to take to find that home. So if you start your home search today, realistically, if you're paying cash, you can be in it next week. But if it takes you a while to find the home and you're doing a mortgage, you could be 6 to 8 weeks or even longer.
Okay, but you said the earliest time could be about 30 days when you're
30 days is a great rule of thumb.
Not including the search for the home.
And not including the search, yes.
Okay. The next question submitted from our Ask the Experts page is, should I use a real estate agent, and what if the home is listed by the owner?
Okay, should you use a real estate agent? Well, I'm a little, I'm going to say yes because I am one. But I'm going to tell you, here's the truth. The reason you would use a real estate agent is to make sure that your interest is protected, that you're being represented in that transaction. And which ties into the second part of your question, should I use the agent that the home is listed with? Typically, when you go to the agent who has the home listed, they are representing the seller unless they tell you otherwise. And as they represent that seller, their job is to find out as much information about you to share with the seller to help the seller negotiate against you. So if you are looking to buy a home, you should seek out buyer agent representation.
Okay, very smart. Almost kind of like when you need to hire an attorney. You need to have someone represent you.
Absolutely. It's just like hiring an attorney, except real estate agents can't practice law.
Okay. Now, next question is, do I have to go through the company that has the house listed to buy it?
No. And a lot of people think that because the company on the sign is the one that has the house listed, is the company you have to use. That's actually not true.
Okay.
You can, it's your right to have representation in a transaction, and so find an agent that you click with that's going to have your best interest at hand, and they can show you through the multiple listing service. Most agents in the Jackson metro area have access to over 3,500 homes.
Okay. What does it mean when an agent says they are a dual agent?
Dual agent, that's when the agent represents both buyer and seller equally. They have a fiduciary duty to both buyer and seller of confidentiality, obedience, the use of skill, care, and diligence, and full disclosure. What a dual agent cannot do is tell the seller the buyer would pay more without written permission, nor could they tell the buyer the seller would take less unless that seller instructed the agent to do so.
Okay, sounds like that could get a little tricky.
It is tricky, and a lot of people do not like dual agency because they want someone to guide them through the process. And as a dual agent, we can guide you through the process, but we cannot give you the upper hand on the opposite party.
Right. So if you couldn't say how much they were willing to take for a home or how much the buyer is willing to pay for the home.
Not without written permission.
Okay. Next question is, should I get a survey, and what is the cost of a survey?
Well, do you want to know where your property lines are?
Of course.
So, ironically, most people do not get surveys in this market. However, the survey does indicate where the property lines are for the property. Mm-hmm. The other thing is it will indicate whether or not maybe there's a fence that's crossing your property or crossing onto another property. Just this morning I was dealing with this where it looks like the neighbor's fence is encroaching upon the property that we're selling. So is a survey worth it? Absolutely. Cost of a survey is going to vary. If it's in a subdivision, you're going to see somewhere between $400 and $600. If it's on acreage or rural property, you could get into the thousands of dollars for a survey. But a survey definitely defines the property lines.
And it in turn could save you a lot of money in the end, because you may have to pull up a fence or a driveway or something else, a shed that may be on your neighbor's property line.
Right, and that has happened more often than we'd like to admit.
Oh no. Our next question is, should I get an appraisal?
Yes. An appraisal gives you an opinion of value of what the property is worth. It also helps you in obtaining a loan. If you're doing a mortgage on your property, a FHA, VA, or traditional conventional type mortgage, they're going to require an appraisal. If you're paying cash, the appraisal may not be as big of a deal to you. But so the question is, do you feel like the property, the price you're paying for the property is a fair price? And the appraisal will help you determine that.
Okay. Then who is responsible for closing costs?
The closing cost is the responsibility of the buyer. However, it's not uncommon in the Jackson metro market for the seller to give a concession to help cover some of those costs. That concession ranges between, typically I see anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000.
Okay. And we see sometimes whenever you see houses posted online, they'll say a certain amount will be covered by the seller.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that's the concession that the seller gives to the buyer, because let's face it, a lot of buyers do not have a lot of money to put down on the house, and then they're going to have to buy furniture and stuff like that. So sometimes they need help.
Okay. Next question submitted to the Ask the Experts page is, should I buy or ask for a home warranty?
A home warranty is almost like an insurance policy, or when you buy a car, buying the extended warranty on a car. The home warranty is not going to necessarily repair everything that goes wrong with the house for a year, but what it will do is it covers the heating, cooling, electrical, plumbing aspects of the house for the warranty period, which is 12 to 13 months. And it does exclude things like pre-existing conditions. The warranty, overall cost of a warranty is $400 to $600, give or take. And if you have to use that warranty, there's a deductible. Most deductibles are between $55 and $100. So if your air conditioner went out and was in good working order when you bought the house, but the air conditioner went out and you had to replace it and its typical cost was $3,000, you could get a new air conditioner for as little as $55. So a warranty is a great idea.
Okay. And then you can pay by the year and by monthly, is that
Yes,
so?
actually most warranties are renewable. Mm-hmm. So if you buy the warranty on the front end, you can pay for it all up front, or you can do a monthly installment plan.
Okay. And home warranties are in regard to repairs after you've bought your home. Our next question says, who is responsible for repairs? And I'm going to assume they mean repairs that are needed on the home before you buy it.
Okay, yes. Typically, when you contract on a property, there is going to be an inspection period, and during that inspection period, the inspector may discover there are repairs that are needed to the property. From that point, what a buyer does is negotiate with the seller to make those repairs at that point. So repairs are negotiable items, just like the offer price, provided it's written in the contract that way. Some buyers choose to buy a property as is without doing a home inspection or without negotiating repairs, and that's fine. But if most contracts are written so that there can be a negotiation on repairs.
Okay. I'm going to combine the next two questions because they appear to go together. One says, what is the minimum credit score to qualify for a mortgage? And then the next says, I'm on Social Security and have a low credit score. I just paid off some debt. How long until I will qualify for a home mortgage, and do first-time homebuyer loans still exist?
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot to unpack. The minimum credit score is going to depend on the bank, but to do a FHA loan, you're looking at a minimum credit score of 580. A lot of your local lenders would like to see a 620 or higher, and if you want to get the lowest interest rate as possible, you're going to need a 740 or better. So 580 is a good baseline. There are some non-traditional loans where you can have a lower credit score and get financed, but typically with the non-traditional loan, you're going to pay more in you're going to pay origination fees and more closing costs involved with procuring that property. Now, the second part of that question is whether, what's the minimum, you have the minimum credit score, and how long will it take me to
qualify for a home mortgage.
For a home.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to depend on your debt to income ratios. It's going to depend on your credit history itself, and whether or not you still have debt on your credit. And also, they're going to want to know, the lenders are going to want to know how that compares to what your income is versus your debt. I think I rambled there. What do you think, Kelly?
No, I think you answered it. You gave the baseline for the minimum, a good idea for what your minimum credit score should be. That's why I put them together, because it seemed like that was really her question. What was the lowest her credit score could be, and she just paid off some debt. So good luck to you.
Yes, keep working on it.
Definitely. So the next question kind of seems a little bit about mortgage, but being a longtime realtor, you know a lot of lenders. So the next question is, are there incentives for first-time home buyers?
Incentives for first-time home buyers, absolutely. Matter of fact, Mississippi there's a Mississippi Home Corporation they provide bond money and first-time home buyer incentives for buyers in our state. There's also local banks that have their own in-house programs where that you can get credits toward the purchase of your home. Our state government made a down payment where you're able to save a down payment with some tax advantages. If you want to save up to $5,000 a year as a couple, you can, and there's some tax advantages to doing that. There's some grants available in certain areas of the state where you can get upwards of $15,000 toward the down payment or cost of the home. So there's lots of incentives, and they're going to vary from mortgage company to mortgage company. And I would encourage you to check out Mississippi Home Corporation's page to see what they have going on, or just call your local lender.
Great information, Lee. Thank you. So these questions from our Facebook Live also kind of deal about mortgages. This may apply to what you just answered. What kind of programs are available for disabled to buy a house?
The types of mortgage for that are going to vary depending on the lender. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer for that, because each person's credit history and their ability to pay is going to factor in. But there are some grants available to help people obtain housing. So I would talk with a local lender for that question, to get that question answered.
And Casey's question may be for a lender as well. When does it make sense to consider refinancing your home?
The general rule of thumb is if the interest rate changes if the interest rate that you can get today is 1% lower than the rate that you currently have, that would be a great time to look at refinancing.
Oh, good. Good to know. Now, you've mentioned the Moving On team, and it's in your logo here. Tell us about that.
The Moving On team is a team that I created. It's a group of agents with one common goal, and that is to better serve our local community and their real estate needs. What I learned a long time ago is agents tend to juggle a lot of things at one time. You're a single agent's trying to work with multiple sellers, multiple buyers, get to the soccer game, do the grocery shopping, market, answer calls, do the books, and do all of these things. And they're not, honestly, there's so much going on, it's hard to do it. And so when I created the Moving On team, my goal was to have individuals specialize in certain aspects of the business so that we can give the best service to consumers and be able to, our goal is, and we say this every day in our meetings, is we build relationships one home at a time using expert customer service and rapport.
Oh, that is great. So you basically have a team of specialists with the Moving On team?
Yes.
Great, great, great. So how can everyone get in touch with you and the Moving On team?
Okay. We can be reached by telephone, 601-983-1130, 601-983-1130. Or you can find us online on the web at leewillbuyit.com, leewillbuyit.com. And or you can find us on Facebook, Lee Garland, ReMax Alliance.
Okay, Lee. And actually, we have another question from Laura, speaking of Facebook. Do you offer any kind of home guarantee on selling a home in a certain time frame?
Not every agent offers this. At the Moving On team, we do offer, over at ReMax Alliance, we do offer a home guarantee where if we don't sell your home within a certain period of time, we will buy it at a price that we agree upon at the time of listing. We also have a instant offer program where as we'll come out and we can give you an offer on your property within 72 hours of our visit.
Great. Thank you, Lee. So Lee Garland will be back with us on Ask the Experts live from the Hub June 19th at 2 p.m. You can submit your questions for that episode at asktheexperts.com. I'm sorry, it's WLBT.com/asktheexperts. Thank you for being with us today, Lee, and for answering the questions of our viewers.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly.
Thank you. I'm your host, Kelly Boyd. Thank you all for watching WLBT's Ask the Experts.